What does it do, you two? Welcome back to another episode of Scotty Says. I am your host, and I hope your summer has been fine and dandy so far. And as summer marches on and July turns to August, we have reached a milestone in the marathon that is the Major League Baseball season. And so we have reached 100 games played, 100 games out of 162. And so this is, as promised, and hopefully long awaited, this is the Redbirds check-in, mid-season, a little past. This is the 100-game Cardinals check-in episode. Get your popcorn. Let's get to it. Now, at the All-Star break, the Cardinals, once again, just like last season, and we're going to draw parallels from last season to this throughout this episode. But just like last season, the Redbirds, despite having so much talent on the roster, still floundering. And so at the All-Star break, the Cardinals were 50-44 in second place. And at the 100-game mark, 53-47. 53-47. 3 games behind Milwaukee in second place now. The Redbirds sit and tied for the newly added third and final wild card playoff spot, tied with Philly. And so you see that the Birds are in the middle of the chase and yet still disappointing. Because with all the talent that they have, you would expect them to be playing a little bit better overall ball. So, let's get right to it. Let's dig right in. Right and wrong calls, right and wrong calls. Now, I made predictions, as you know, in the MLB season opening episode. And I've been right on some of these things, most of them, And I've been wrong on at least one major one. And so let's get right into it. Right and wrong calls. These are addressing the predictions I made at the start of the season. Now, let's start with the Pooh Bear, Albert Pujols, back in the loop. And I told you it was going to be glorious, and it has been. I told you that it was the way the story should end. And I've enjoyed every at-bat that I've gotten a chance to see him take. Now, my thing with Albert Pujols is he needs to get more run. And I don't know, how do I get this message to Ali and Mo? And I'll address them as a tandem, Ali and Mo. Mo and Ali maybe is more appropriate. But the Pooh Bear needs more run. Now, in game 100, Albert Pujols was 3 for 4 with a double, a single, and a home run, the long ball, okay? And he was just a triple shy of the cycle. Now, a triple for the Pooh Bear would take some doing. But still in all, you see the impact the man can make. And I believe, like with any player, the more consistency and run you get, the more your performance rounds into shape. And that's the case with Edmundo Sosa, I believe. And we'll get back to, because that was one of the things that we discussed at length in the opening episode. We'll get back to Sosa. But for Albert Pujols, I would very much like to see him surpass A-Rod on that final home run list. A-Rod should not be ahead of the Pooh Bear. Albert Pujols is by far a better player. All around and in home runs, he should eclipse him. And what I'd really like to see is him reach the 700 club. Because the 700 club, see, that's only Barry Bonds, the big head, and the big babe, and the greatest of them all, in my opinion, the king, hammering Hank Aaron. Those are the only three in the 700 club. And I'm glad A-Rod didn't get there. Okay? He fell just short. Just couldn't quite get there. 690 something, right? So, at this rate, with this run, for Albert Pujols to pass A-Rod and to reach the 700 club, I think he's going to need a little more time. And so, here is my first petition to Mo and Ali. Give the Pooh Bear, Albert Pujols, one more year. I'll bet he wants to play another year. And the way you're playing him now, another year would be a piece of cake. And with another year, he's by certain to reach the 700 club in home runs and surpass, what's his name, and really cement the legacy. And it would give the fans in St. Louis and all around baseball another season to enjoy and appreciate the magnificent career of one Albert the Pooh Bear Pujols. So, big ups to him. And I love to see him play more, Mo and Ali. Give him more run. He deserves it, and he wants it, I believe. And, you prefer Corey Dickerson? Come on now. Stop it. Pujols can hit right-handers. The man's a legend, a Hall of Famer. What do you mean, only left-handers? Stop it. Mo and Ali, cut it out now. Give the man some love. Give him some respect now. And with the DH there's no reason that man can't play 60, 70% of the remaining games, if not more. Okay? All right, petition one, there you had it. I was right about that, about the Pujols situation. I was also right that Arenado would be Arenado. And I said this as well for Goldie, and there is where I could say I may have missed on my first prediction because Goldie has been beyond Goldie so far. We'll get back to Goldie. But Arenado is hitting 293. He's got 18 home runs. He's got 58, 59 RBIs. 881 OPS. Okay, so, and there's that Gold Glove at third base. And that's the thing, right? I don't know how many guys have done this. But did you know that Nolan Arenado has won the Gold Glove every year he's played in the big leagues? Rookie year till today. 9 years, 9 Gold Gloves. That's pretty extraordinary. He came into the league, took the Gold Glove right away, and has never relinquished it since. And balling, and I do not expect there will be any difference at the end of this year. This will be number 10. 10 years in the league, 10 Gold Gloves, 10 straight, 10 for 10. That's impressive. Okay? So, Arenado, do your thing, sir. Keep balling, and I predict it as such. So I give myself a check on that one. Now, Goldie. Let's talk about Goldie. Let's just address the MVP season that man is putting together at this point in time. And I mean, it's noteworthy that for the magnificent career that he's had, this is probably his finest year ever. So he is not declining. He's hitting 333, And I've always been partial to guys who can hit for average and power. Okay? The great Hank Aaron's a career 300 hitter and hit all them home runs. Okay? And so Goldschmidt now, 24 home runs. And the OPS is off the chart. He's over 1,000, 1.028, I believe. He's got 78 RBIs. And he had the 46-game on-base streak, the 25-game hitting streak. He's just had a magnificent season, and he's playing Gold Glove caliber defense. So that's got MVP written all over it. And so when I said I expect Goldie to be Goldie, I did not envision Goldie being beyond Goldie, being super Goldie. And so big ups to Mr. Goldschmidt. Okay? Now, where I was right again, I said that for some reason, the St. Louis Cardinals do not want to give Edmundo Sosa an opportunity to start at shortstop for their club. They just don't see it. They don't, Mo and Ollie, they don't see it. They just have him. It's like, in the credit world, when you're in the bucket, they have Sosa in the bucket as utility guy, backup guy, pinch run guy. If somebody's hurt, give a guy a day off. That's it. They don't want to give him the opportunity. And I wonder if Popeye going against the grain last year and saying, no, I want Sosa to start for me, if that was where the genesis of the Popeye and Mo rift came from. I can't help but wonder. I've talked about it in previous episodes. Go back and check them. But Ali, of course, is not going to cause any waves, okay? So, Mo and Ali have determined Sosa has a role. He's in the bucket. And that role, I think, causes distress for Sosa. Because he can't get a rhythm, you see. And he presses, and when he gets a game, he feels like he's got to hit home runs and be magnificent, and he's running so hard that he's crashing into the wall, and he's trying to prove, and he's trying to show them, no, I can do it, but you only get, one game isn't enough of a sample size. Playing once, twice a week, baseball is a marathon. You got to run out there every day. At least, like they gave DeYoung, they gave him all that run. Here, run out there for 3 months. Run out there for 6 weeks. And finally, when they realized DeYoung is bound and determined to hit 181, okay? He weighs more than he hits, okay? When they realized that, finally, they sent him down, okay? And I believed it was an opportunity then for Sosa to get some run as a starter. But that was not in the Mo and Ali plan. You see? They had this guy down on the farm. See? They got this corn-fed farm boy down there by the name of Gorman. And so as soon as DeYoung was on the way out, which I applauded, Gorman was on the way in, and Sosa was still stuck in that same bucket. And so now, Gorman, he's hitting home runs. And I believe that must be what they saw in DeYoung. I have to dab. I've gotten worked up. That that must be what they saw in DeYoung. It's the home runs. See, the home runs gets them. It's the flash of the long ball. Chicks dig the long ball. And Gorman has hit 11. Yepes has hit 11. Now, Yepes has been hurt. And the injuries thing, we'll get back to it. That has been a major issue as well in this whole equation. But once Gorman struck a few long balls, the die was cast. And so the decision was made. What do? DeYoung's gone. Gorman's in. Swap Tommy Edman over. And I felt a little concerned about that because the man just won a Gold Glove at second base last year. He's finally getting comfortable there. He's a great, reliable, steady player. You've uprooted him and swung him over to shortstop now, which requires the most athleticism on the field, really. I'm sure the other position players may disagree, or maybe they wouldn't. But now you uprooted Tommy Edman from Gold Glove second and thrown him into short. Why? Because apparently Gorman can only play second. Have they tried him in right field? I'm just asking. Petition number 2. I'm just asking, can he do anything else but play second? So, apparently not. So, here we are now. Sosa's in the same boat. And DeYoung, gone and forgotten, I hoped, returns after 100 games. In game 101, look who's starting at shortstop. Why? It's DeYoung. Paulie the Beak is back. And he hit a home run, no less. And so there it is again. And so Tommy Edman is kind of caught in the wash a little bit. And now they're fluctuating Tommy Edman. He's the leadoff man for 60 games. And then let's put him at 7. Well, put him at 8. Now, back to leadoff. Now, you put him at 9. And now, for the last few games, Tommy Edman's hitting 9th. So it seems to me that you're fooling with Tommy Edman. You had a stable situation, Gold Glove second baseman, and now you got him all on skates. It can affect a player, and I value the versatility that the Cardinals have shown they have with their young guys. Really, Gorman's the only one who shows no versatility in the field. But Donovan, I must mention Donovan. This very well could be your Rookie of the Year. Now, he's been tailing off lately. And see, the wall comes, especially for rookies. So you can start off magnificently, but can you sustain that over that marathon that we talked about? And so, tailspin, has come a little bit for Donovan. Struggles a little bit. But so far in the season, to this point, he's put up Rookie of the Year caliber numbers. Stable, and maybe more impressive, they've played him all over the place. He's in right field. He's at third base. Now he's at second. Well, let's move him to left. They kept him in the lineup. They kept putting him all over the diamond, and he kept producing, and he seems stable. And so I hope whatever this little mild slump is, he can fight his way out of it, because he does have a veteran persona. And he's an older rookie, so maybe that's part of it. But he seems very mature for a rookie, and so hopefully he can get his stroke going again. And so these are the kinds of issues that I see with the ball club that has led to a less than spectacular run so far out the gate, and now we're at the 100-game mark and beyond. Now, having said all of this, I have to say that there was one particular thing that I was most wrong about of everything. I mean, super wrong. Wrong as hell. And that was about the turtle. At the beginning of the season, predict a second Gold Glove back-to-back and numbers that rivaled 45, 50 home runs, 300 average, 100-plus RBIs, numbers that would put him in the MVP conversation. Ooh, boy, was I wrong about that. Man, this guy seems almost about ready to go back to the minors. Same place they sent the young. And I'm going to tell you something else. I don't miss Bader, but you probably knew that. And he's been hurt. I don't miss Bader. And I think that what the club misses, though, is an O'Neal presence. Another guy beside Goldschmidt and Arenado that adds that length to the lineup that can mash on a reliable, consistent basis. And with him going, now you are approaching a murderer's row and you can sprinkle in, the rookies. But instead, it has been the rookies that has saved the Cardinals from ruin, with the obvious exception of Goldschmidt and Arenado. So let me say this. I have sung the praises of Goldschmidt and Arenado. But just recently, I learned that neither Goldschmidt nor Arenado was vaccinated, and therefore they were unable to accompany the team to play a series against the Blue Jays in Toronto, Canada. What? You see how they treat Kyrie because he didn't get vaccinated? Oh, they make him seem like a fool, a monster. He's and I mean, he says idiotic things. I give him that. That is true. But particularly because he cost his team by his absence, because of his unwillingness to be vaccinated, they malign Kyrie. And yet, you mean to say the same thing is here with Goldschmidt and Arenado, both of them? The two pillars, the cornerstones, your leaders? They're not vaccinated? Do they follow QAnon? Or are they about to steal? What else is going on with these guys? That you would jeopardize your team's success because you're unwilling to take a proven vaccine. Albert Pujols was in Toronto. He was there playing, so the vaccine was good enough for Albert, but not for Goldschmidt, not for Arenado. To me, that shows there is a weakness in the leadership. There is a vacuum there. I mean, Albert, you can see he's pretty much stepped in as the leader there. For the most part, it seems like Arenado and Goldschmidt kind of keep to themselves. And whereas individual statistics and numbers are impressive in the game of baseball, that doesn't necessarily equate to wins. In fact, it usually doesn't. In baseball, when you get into September and October, There has to be a team that is operating on cylinders, clicking, humming. And that's what the Cardinals were last year in the second half, right about this time, a little past, with Popeye. And we can only hope that we'll see a similar outcome this season, except that they'll go deeper into the playoffs. But the opposite could be true. Maybe they won't do as well. Maybe they'll flounder on in the second half. Time will tell. But I predicted at the beginning of the season that it would come down to the Cardinals and the best team that money can buy, the Dodgers, and that the world champs, a team from Atlanta, would be in the mix. And the Mets are strong. The Padres, once again, there they are. I didn't see the Phillies, but, we're just now turning the calendar to August. So there's some dog days that are coming now. The Cardinals' schedule in the second half is favorable compared to the other contenders, and so there's that. But the Cardinals need pitching. And I want to give big ups to Wayne Wright. I'll get back to him. The Cardinals need pitching now, to be sure. And so Mo has his work cut out for him. But I'm concerned that if Goldschmidt and Arenado are your leadership examples and they are unwilling to be vaccinated for the team goals, what does that say about the future of the organization, at least the short-term future? That strikes me as selfish when you're talking about a team concept. And just like they said about Kyrie, it's selfish, it's an individual, just like that, same. And I haven't heard anybody question either of these guys about that. Now, Toronto, the Blue Jays, are a pretty damn good team. In fact, they've got the third best record in the American League. The Yankees are first. The Astros, there they go. The Astros and the Yankees, as much as the Yankees ran out ahead of everybody, the Astros are just right there. And the Blue Jays. Those are the top three teams in the American League. You know what that means? That means that if the Cardinals somehow find a way to get to the World Series, they got to go play, perhaps, in Canada. The Blue Jays could very well be in the World Series. And if the Cardinals have to play the Blue Jays, you mean to tell me that Arenado and Goldschmidt are going to miss half of the World Series games over vaccination status? That's not good. It's a bad look. It's poor leadership. It's enough to call into question, what are they really about? And Goldschmidt has been known to be robotic. I used to call him the mummy because he showed no emotion. And Arenado, he's firing, they're like fire and ice, but I watch now. I just haven't noticed him really helping the young kids or anything. And maybe he does all that. I'm not saying he doesn't. I don't know. I'm not there at practice and, behind the scenes. But it just seems like they're kind of on their own deal, So that concerns me greatly. And I wonder what they would do if the Cardinals end up playing the Blue Jays in the World Series. Would they go ahead and get vaccinated, or would they just miss half the World Series games? Both of them. The MVP and the 10-time Gold Glove winner. Would they just miss the World Series over this? Are they flat earthers? All right. Enough on that. Ali, I think, has done pretty well with under the auspices of Mo. I'd like to see the Cardinals maybe shake it up a little bit, maybe bring in a big name starter, or I didn't know, there's talk about Soto. You know, that's a big guy in the lineup. That's a masher. You match him with the Flat Earthers, and hey, man, you got something there. So the Cardinals definitely have the prospects to do it. They just don't usually like to spend that long-term money like that. But if they're in the mix, hey, you know, throw Bader in the deal. Get him in DeYoung in the deal, please. I don't see what they see in DeYoung. I guess it was the fact that he started off hitting home runs early on, and they never got past that image, that visual. Oh, he's going to be our big home run hitting shortstop. Well, he hadn't done nothing since. The man is hitting 128 with a 412 OPS. Okay? 128, I say. Come on. And he doesn't play, you know, Sosa runs rings around him defensively now. You can't mess with Sosa in the field. DeYoung not even close. Okay? Now, I said I was going to talk about Waino. Waino was brilliant in game 99, the Cardinals' 99th game. His record of 7-8 so far on the season, in I believe 20 starts, doesn't reflect how well he really has pitched. The old feller is balling. He's pitched 123 innings. That's among the league leaders. 99 strikeouts. So he's getting swing and miss, and that's rare for the Cardinals these days. He's got a 3.28 ERA, and he's reliable every fifth day. He pitched a complete game in a loss, okay? He gave up 1 or 2 early home runs and lost 2-0 and pitched all 9, whatever it was. So, I'm just saying, you got to give Wainwright his credit. And the people who were saying this was his last year, you can forget it. Wainwright's coming back next year, no doubt about it. Now, Molina, I do see why this would be his last year, because he's limping to the finish line. Hopefully, he'll come back and be able to contribute. They say soon, whatever that means, maybe in a few days. We'll see. Ali, Mo, Helsley needs to be your closer now. Now, stop fooling around now. You need to lock it down and see, and that would be one of my criticisms of Ali/Mo. Ali Mo. Maybe I'll just call him Ali Mo. Ali Mo. Ali Mo, I don't feel that he has created enough continuity, okay? There needs to be more definition of roles, Ali Mo. And Helsley needs to be your closer. Just take that off the table. That's who it is. And go with that until such time as it doesn't work at all, the wheels fall off. You make Helsley your closer, and don't use him unless you're using him in a closer situation. And then you play around and you find your 8th guy, your 8th inning guy. You find your 7th guy, your 7th inning guy. You get a rotation of middle to late relievers that you can kind of rely on, and they know their role, and that's what it is. That's what I believe. That's the way I've seen it work, and I believe that's the way you should do it. And this will decide who knows who it's going to be this particular evening. I don't think that's a recipe for success, Ali Mo. But overall now, I think Ali Mo has done a fairly decent job. I like the way he dealt with Cabrera. He grabbed him and spun him around like he was square dancing with him. He's like, whoa, hey, hold on, do-si-do, Cabrera. And then he benched him 10 games. Cabrera didn't play for 10 games, okay? He said, I'm going to give you 2 weeks on the bench to think about it. And did you see Pooh Bear down there in his ear showing leadership. After Cabrera pulled that move, out on the mound, bounced the ball to Ollie. Ollie was like, hey, I might be young, but I'm ready, okay? And Pooh Bear was down there in the corner with Cabrera, all Hennessy's, all in his ear. You notice how the Latin players have names that are epic? Hennessy's, right? Cesar, Jesus, okay? Legendary, legendary name. Anyway, I digress. It wasn't Goldschmidt down there with leadership. It wasn't Arenado down there with leadership. It was Albert Pujols in that moment. And so that's what I'm talking about, my folks. Point made, moving on. Questions will all be answered, and it's still, the verdict is still out, and the scorecards haven't been finalized yet. So we'll see how it all plays out for Ollie in the second half. But just from the guy on the couch, my recommendation, give the Pooh Bear more run, okay? You've got this DH now at your disposal. You can put him out there at first here and there, but he can DH quite often, not just with lefties, Alimo. I would suggest, Alimo, you don't fool with Tommy Edmonds so much. Let him get his rhythm in one spot, in one place in the lineup. I don't know why they wouldn't ever give Sosa a fair shot, but I think at this point the die is cast. So I expect Sosa's probably frustrated and unhappy, and I would expect he probably wants to move on, and maybe he'll go somewhere else and get a fair shot at a starting spot, and then you'll see Sosa haunt the Cardinals for years to come, just like a Rosarena will. Well, a Rosarena is in the American League, but that you let that guy go for a song, and you kept Bader. All right. What is the prognosis for Yepes? What about Molina? What about the pitching? Matz is down. Flaherty down. And so the injuries piling up. St. Louis needs pitching help. They're 27th out of 30 in strikeout rate. So in October, when the playoffs come and it gets cold and the pressure ratchets up and the crowds get bananas, you need some swing and miss stuff out there. You need guys who can go out there and strike them out. You need frontline starting pitching, okay, to go anywhere in the playoffs. And Mo knows that. I like the young kids. I like Nootbaar. I like Carlson. And so the Cardinals have that depth of youth. And it's a good thing because, the ones like O'Neill and Bader seem to be breaking down. Will they string that youth together along with some of those older players and make a deal, a big splash move? Will Alimo settle into a more consistent lineup and rotation, both front line and back end? And will the Cardinals, like last season, go on an epic run and claim a playoff berth? But this time, will they take it further? Other than them damn Yankees, the Cardinals have the most World Series championships in Major League Baseball history. When will they add the next one? When will they add number 12? Make it a dozen birds. Well, we'll be here to cover it. And so, in the meantime, until October, when we check back in for the playoffs, throw me one of these, okay? Please like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me a comment now. Let me know what you're thinking. And until the next time, my folks, Scotty says, one love.